The Interstellar Council's chamber stretched across a wide, luminous dome, its surfaces gleaming with soft lights that shimmered like distant stars. Representatives from countless alien civilizations filled the seats in concentric rows, each species displaying its own way of sitting, standing, or floating. Some were tall and slender, with skin that glowed faintly. Others moved with many limbs, making intricate gestures as they spoke. But among all these beings, the humans were almost invisible in their simplicity. Kara Venn, the human ambassador, sat quietly in her seat. She wore a plain uniform, dark blue with silver trim, and her calm eyes observed the proceedings with patient attention. Unlike many of the council members, she spoke only when necessary, letting the discussions unfold before weighing in. Kara had learned long ago that subtlety often carried more power than shouting. The meeting had begun like many before it, with alien leaders discussing regulations, exploration zones, and resource allocations. A large holographic projection floated in the center of the chamber, displaying systems that humans had long charted but which many alien species barely understood. "Humanity continues to push beyond council limits," said Malkesh, a tall, green-scaled diplomat with eyes that reflected the lights around him. His voice was smooth but carried an undertone of accusation. "We have warned them before. Their recklessness cannot continue." Kara did not reply. She simply listened. Around her, whispers and murmurs moved through the chamber like tiny currents as other species nodded or frowned, reacting to Malkesh's words. They assumed she would respond defensively. Most assumed humans always reacted emotionally or argued endlessly. They had grown used to underestimating her species. "This is not recklessness," said Thrill, a being of shifting shadows and soft light. His form flickered like a flame as he spoke. "It is merely curiosity and innovation. Perhaps their methods are different from ours." A few delegates chuckled. Differences in their eyes were often a problem to control, not a path to respect. Kara rose slowly, catching the eyes of the council members. The chamber grew quiet, sensing the human ambassador would speak. But instead of responding to the accusations, she held the attention of the room with calm silence. "Are you intending to speak?" asked Malkesh, his tone sharper. Kara finally spoke, her voice steady, carrying a clarity that silenced even the most restless members. "Humanity will no longer be part of the council." The room froze. Some representatives blinked, their eyes widening in surprise. A few muttered, thinking it must be a joke. "Leave now?" one asked, a voice quivering with disbelief. "Yes," Kara said, "we are departing quietly. No conflicts, no disputes. We have learned much from our time here and we are grateful, but it is time for humanity to act independently." Silence stretched. The council members looked at each other, unsure how to react. For centuries, humans had been seen as minor participants, clever enough to navigate rules but never as leaders. Now they were leaving and there was no visible plan, no threat, no protest. Malkesh's scales rippled with irritation. "You cannot simply leave. There are agreements, treaties." Kara shook her head gently. "Treaties are honored by respect. We have respected them and now we choose a different path. There will be no dishonor. We leave quietly, as we have always observed the council's ways." A murmur spread. Some species whispered about humanity's arrogance. Others felt confusion. Quiet leaving was not expected. Most civilizations left with dramatic declarations or challenges. But humans left with calm dignity. Kara paused, allowing her words to sink in. Then, without further discussion, she gestured to the other human delegates. They rose slowly, like shadows in the soft light of the chamber, and began walking toward the exit. The council members watched them go, some with amusement, others with irritation. "They are foolish," one alien whispered. "They do not understand the consequences." But Kara did not look back. She led her delegation through the corridors of the council, past chambers filled with glowing artifacts, holographic maps, and endless conversations about power and control. Humans had always observed these halls quietly, learning what they could, never revealing everything. And now, for the first time, they were leaving with all the knowledge they had gathered, a treasure no one in the council had noticed. Outside the grand chamber, the air was cool and familiar. The humans boarded their sleek vessels, small by some standards but perfected over decades. The designs were subtle, unassuming, yet carried innovations that even the most advanced council engineers would struggle to reverse engineer. As the ships rose, the council's holographic screens tracked them. Many species leaned closer, expecting hesitation or a last-minute retreat, but humans did not pause. They slipped beyond the known zones, fading into the starry depths, leaving only traces of energy readings too faint to fully track. Back in the chamber, murmurs turned into anxious whispers. Why did they leave? Did they make a mistake? Asked one alien delegate. Others nodded in agreement. Humans are clever, yes, but to leave the council so quietly, there must be a reason. Surely they cannot survive alone. Kara's mind, far from the council, was focused on the future. Humanity's quiet exit was not recklessness, it was preparation. For decades, humans had quietly built networks, researched technologies, and explored regions beyond the council's map. The galaxies were vast, and humans had always known that independence meant more than mere freedom. It meant opportunity. In the silence of space, the human ships moved as one, a small fleet of precision and purpose. Communication between them was minimal, a network of encrypted signals only humans could interpret. Every ship had a role: observation, research, navigation, and preparation. Each vessel contained years of accumulated knowledge, designed not for war but for understanding, growth, and influence. For the first time, humans were free from the scrutiny of the council, and yet they were not acting recklessly. Every movement, every decision was measured. They would not return immediately to prove themselves, nor would they announce their power to intimidate. They would let time and their actions speak. Far from the council, Kara's ship approached a distant system, its stars unfamiliar to most of the galaxy. Here, humanity had built one of its secret outposts, a research and development hub hidden in plain view of the stars, yet invisible to those who did not know where to look. The crew gathered in the observation room, looking out at a field of stars that seemed endless. "It feels strange," said Lieutenant Myra Talon, her voice soft, "to leave the council behind, to not argue or fight, just leave." Kara nodded. "We leave because the galaxy is larger than any council. We leave because we are ready to grow, to explore, to act without limits. And we leave quietly because there is strength in patience." Myra smiled faintly. "I suppose they will regret underestimating us." Kara did not answer immediately. She preferred to think of the council not as enemies, but as a lesson in humility for them and for humanity. "Regret comes," she said finally, "not from knowledge but from ignoring what is possible. And humans, we have always known what is possible." The fleet continued moving, stars passing like ribbons of light. Humanity's departure was a quiet one, unnoticed by many, underestimated by all. But even in silence there was power. In the council chambers, hours later, debates turned to panic. Analysts tried to project where humans might go, how they might survive, and what they could achieve. Every simulation failed, every estimate was too low. The council members had assumed humans would act like other species, dependent on their rules, predictable in their fears, cautious in their ambitions. They had been wrong. Kara and her team had already anticipated the council's assumptions. They had planned for decades, quietly building the resources and knowledge that would allow humanity to thrive beyond observation. And now, with no announcement, no aggression, they were free. As the fleet moved deeper into uncharted regions, Kara's thoughts turned not to the past but to the future. The galaxy was vast, full of opportunities and mysteries. and humanity, for the first time in history, would face it on its own terms. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, a canvas waiting for discovery. And though the Council would only realize too late the wisdom of humanity's departure, the humans aboard their ships felt no fear, only anticipation. The silent exit was complete. The first step had been taken. Kara turned to her crew, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "This is only the beginning," she said. "Our time has come." And in the quiet of space, humanity moved forward, not recklessly, not loudly, but with patience, preparation, and the quiet certainty that they were ready for anything the galaxy might offer. The human fleet moved deeper into uncharted space, passing through regions that even the Council had barely explored. Stars shimmered in unfamiliar patterns, and nebulae stretched across the void like colorful clouds of silk. Humanity had left quietly, but each ship carried years of preparation, a testament to careful planning and hidden ingenuity. Kara Venn stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, observing the vast expanse through the transparent dome. Her eyes, calm yet sharp, traced the movements of other ships in the fleet. Each was positioned with precision, moving in coordination as if guided by a single mind. Humanity had always been underestimated, and now, far from the Council's scrutiny, they were free to show the strength that had been quietly built over generations. "This sector is promising," said Lieutenant Myra Talon, pointing to a cluster of stars. "Resources, habitable planets, enough to establish a base without interference." Kara nodded. "Begin scouting for potential outposts. Remember, everything we establish now must be sustainable. We are building not just for ourselves, but for the future of humanity." The fleet divided into smaller groups, each tasked with specific missions: scanning planets, analyzing star systems, and sending detailed data back to the main vessel. All communication was encrypted and efficient, designed to prevent interception by the Council or any other civilization. For decades, humans had quietly developed technologies that even the Council considered impossible. Faster-than-light travel had been refined, navigation systems had been perfected, and energy sources were optimized beyond known limits. Self-sustaining habitats, capable of long-term operations, were ready for deployment. What the Council had called recklessness was, in reality, decades of careful study and innovation. In one particularly bright star system, the humans discovered a planet with rich resources and stable conditions. Its surface glowed with a mix of green and gold, vegetation thriving in a pattern that suggested natural balance. Kara smiled as she observed the readings. "This will be our first outpost," she said. "Prepare the landing teams." The crew worked with efficiency, deploying automated systems to survey the planet. Drones collected samples of soil, water, and atmospheric gases, transmitting data back to the fleet. Engineers analyzed energy potential, structural stability, and resource distribution. By the end of the day, they had the foundation for a permanent settlement, ready to grow over the coming months. As the fleet continued, Kara reflected on the lessons of the Council. Humans had always been underestimated, their patience seen as weakness, their quiet observation mistaken for hesitation. But humans had never acted without purpose. Each step, each calculation, each decision had been deliberate. Now, outside the Council's reach, they could act freely, showing the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. Meanwhile, back in the Council chambers, the absence of humans was causing confusion. Reports arrived slowly, delayed by the vast distances of space. Analysts struggled to understand the human fleet's movements. "They cannot survive alone," one diplomat said, shaking its multiple heads. "Their ships are too few, their resources are limited." Malkesh, still green and scaled, frowned. Perhaps they were reckless after all," he said, though his tone carried doubt. The other delegates muttered, some with fear, others with irritation. The humans had left quietly, but even in absence, their presence caused unrest. Back in space, the humans reached another system, one with rings of glittering asteroids surrounding a bright blue star. Here, the conditions were not ideal for life, but perfect for research and observation. Kara ordered a small research station to be deployed. Its design was simple, almost unassuming, but inside, it held laboratories and instruments that could analyze celestial phenomena in ways the Council's scientists could not imagine. The humans' approach was deliberate. Every planet, every star, every system was carefully studied and catalogued. They were building a network, a hidden web of knowledge and influence across the galaxy. And unlike other civilizations, humans focused not on dominance but on understanding, preparation, and sustainability. Lieutenant Talon observed the data streaming in from the new station. "These readings, they're beyond anything the Council could predict," she said. "They assumed we would follow their rules, stay close to known space, but we're learning at a rate they cannot match." Kara nodded. "We have always adapted. The Council measured humans by their presence, not their potential. Now we are showing both." As weeks passed, the fleet expanded its hidden outposts. Each location was equipped to operate independently, yet remained connected through encrypted networks. The humans' presence spread quietly, leaving no trace of intrusion but leaving unmistakable evidence of progress. Systems once thought barren were now active with research, settlements, and observation stations. In one isolated sector, humans discovered an alien civilization struggling to survive. Their planet had limited resources, and their technology was primitive compared to the Council's standards. Kara sent a discreet message of assistance, offering guidance without interference. Within months, the alien civilization began thriving, adopting new methods of energy use, agriculture, and exploration. The news, when it eventually reached the Council, was met with disbelief. "Humans are influencing other civilizations," one delegate asked, stunned. "Without our control, without seeking permission." "Yes," said another, voice trembling, "and they are doing it quietly, almost invisibly. We only notice after the results appear." Kara's fleet continued moving, establishing connections with other intelligent species along the way. But unlike the Council, humanity did not demand allegiance or submission. They shared knowledge, offered guidance, and helped others grow independently. The galaxy began to change slowly, quietly, as humans demonstrated that strength came not from control, but from understanding, cooperation, and preparation. One evening, Kara stood on the observation deck of the main vessel, looking at a distant nebula glowing with shades of purple and gold. Lieutenant Talon joined her, carrying a tablet filled with updates from multiple systems. "The Council is becoming anxious," Talon said, smiling faintly. "Reports say they're trying to track our fleet, but they cannot predict our moves." Kara's eyes reflected the nebula. "They assumed our departure was foolish. They assumed we would be isolated and vulnerable. They underestimated our patience, our planning, and our ability to adapt." Talon nodded. "It's almost poetic. They thought leaving quietly meant weakness, but it is exactly the opposite." Kara smiled. "The galaxy rewards preparation and foresight. And humans, we have always been prepared." As the fleet moved toward a particularly rich system, they discovered another planet, perfectly suited for settlement. Its surface was covered with calm oceans, rolling plains, and towering mountains. Humans began building a colony that would become a hub of research, culture, and exploration. Every building, every station, every structure was designed to be sustainable, functional, and adaptable. The colony's success became a model for future outposts. Humans shared techniques with other civilizations, quietly demonstrating the value of knowledge, collaboration, and forward thinking. The galaxy began to notice, even if slowly, that humanity was no ordinary species. Meanwhile, in the Council, panic began to spread. Malkesh and other delegates debated heatedly. "We underestimated them," one said, almost whispering. "They are expanding, building networks influencing other species, and we thought they would remain compliant." "Yes," another admitted. "And the worst part, we cannot predict their next move. Every calculation fails. Every strategy we try is too slow." Back in space, Kara monitored these distant signals, not with satisfaction or anger but with quiet awareness. Humans did not act to punish the Council. They acted to prepare, to grow, to explore. And yet, every step they took highlighted the Council's assumptions and mistakes. By the end of the cycle, the human fleet had established multiple outposts, connected systems with research networks, and quietly supported several alien civilizations. All of this had been done without confrontation, without noise, and without immediate recognition. Humanity's hidden ascent was complete. In a secure communication chamber aboard the lead vessel, Kara addressed the fleet. "We have done what the Council could not see. We have prepared, explored, and connected. The galaxy is changing, quietly, because of our actions. Remember, our strength lies not in dominance, but in knowledge, cooperation, and patience. Humanity's time is beginning, and we move forward with purpose." The crew nodded, their faces reflecting pride and quiet excitement. They had left quietly, but their work had already begun to reshape the galaxy. And even as the stars stretched endlessly before them, they knew that the Council's realization would come too late. The humans' quiet ascent continued, each day a step toward independence, understanding, and growth. Every action was measured, every decision deliberate. The galaxy had underestimated them for centuries, and now it would witness the result, not through violence, but through ingenuity, patience, and the quiet power of a species ready to shape its own destiny. Months had passed since humanity's quiet departure from the interstellar Council. The galaxy, vast and full of mysteries, was slowly being reshaped by the unseen hand of human ingenuity. Kara Ven stood on the bridge of the flagship, gazing at the distant stars. The fleet had grown in size and capability, each ship part of a carefully designed network of exploration, research, and diplomacy. Lieutenant Myra Talon approached, holding a tablet glowing with incoming data. "Kara, we've received new reports from the systems we helped. Several civilizations are now thriving. Their technology is improving, their communications are expanding, and they're beginning to establish connections between themselves." Kara nodded, a small smile on her lips. "This is exactly as planned. We leave quietly, but the influence spreads. They learn, they grow, and the galaxy adjusts without us having to impose anything." In contrast, the Interstellar Council was in turmoil. Weeks of attempting to track the human fleet had failed. Every prediction, every calculation, every strategy had been outpaced by the humans' careful planning and adaptability. The Council had assumed humanity would falter once outside its control, but now they were seeing the results of their misjudgment. Malkesh paced back and forth in the Council chamber, his green scales glimmering in the soft light. "We underestimated them," he admitted, his voice tinged with disbelief. "They are influencing other civilizations, building networks, and we thought they would fail." Thrill, the being of shifting shadows, flickered with agitation. "And they are doing it quietly, without aggression, without threats. Every action strengthens them and highlights our own arrogance." Other delegates whispered among themselves. "How do we not see this?" one asked. "For centuries we treated them as minor players. And now," the sentence hung unfinished, heavy with realization. Back in human space, the fleet had reached the outskirts of a dense star cluster, a region rich with resources and potential colonies. Here, humanity had established several major outposts, each serving as a hub for research, diplomacy, and exploration. Automated systems maintained these stations, ensuring efficiency, sustainability, and connectivity. Humans had grown beyond the need for constant observation. They were now shaping entire systems quietly and effectively. Kara gathered the senior officers on the bridge. "We must continue with caution," she said. "The Council may begin to notice, and while we do not seek conflict, we must be prepared to respond intelligently to any interference." Talon looked at her, a mixture of excitement and curiosity in her eyes. "Do you think they will try to stop us?" Kara shook her head slowly. "Not directly. They cannot. Their assumptions about humans have always been their weakness. They will realize it soon enough, but by then we will have achieved what we intended: growth, stability, and influence without confrontation." The fleet moved with precision, approaching a planet ideal for settlement. Its surface shimmered with oceans reflecting the light of two nearby stars, and vast plains stretched toward distant mountains. This planet would serve as a central hub, connecting the hidden network of colonies and research stations. As the colonists disembarked, Kara observed their activities through the fleet's sensors. Humans worked efficiently, building structures that blended with the natural environment. Every station, laboratory, and living module was designed for sustainability and adaptability. Robots and automated systems assisted with construction, while scientists and engineers began exploring the planet's resources. While humans expanded quietly, the Council scrambled to understand what was happening. Their attempts to predict human actions failed repeatedly. Each time they sent reconnaissance missions, the humans had already moved to the next step, anticipating potential interference. Every miscalculation reminded the Council of their earlier mistakes. Malkesh convened an emergency session. "We must act now," he said. "Humans are creating a network beyond our control. We underestimated them, and the galaxy is already shifting because of it." Other delegates murmured anxiously. They left quietly, and yet their influence is undeniable. Every civilization they touch grows stronger. Every system they reach becomes organized. We are losing the advantage we thought we held. In the human fleet, Kara received a transmission from one of the newly contacted civilizations, a small, developing species that had once struggled to survive. The message was simple, yet profound. "Your guidance has changed everything. We are grateful." Kara read the message quietly, her face calm. "It is not our power that changes them," she said to her officers. "It is knowledge, support, and opportunity. We provide guidance, not control. That is the difference humans make." The fleet moved to another sector, where humans had previously detected a civilization facing environmental challenges. Automated systems had been monitoring and assisting without direct human presence. Now, scientists and engineers were ready to implement advanced solutions. Within weeks, the planet's climate management systems were stabilized, agriculture improved, and communication networks expanded. In the Council, panic became visible. "They are everywhere," whispered one delegate. "Everywhere we turn, humans have already acted. And still they are not aggressive, yet we cannot keep up." Thrill, his shifting form now flickering faster with stress, added, "Their patience and planning surpass anything we could predict, and we cannot ignore it. Their departure, once seen as foolish, is now the cause of our anxiety." Humans continued to act quietly but decisively. They were not seeking recognition, dominance, or revenge. Each settlement, each research station, each act of assistance was deliberate, ensuring the growth of civilizations, the efficient use of resources, and the expansion of knowledge. Humanity's influence spread like a gentle wave, unnoticed until its effects were undeniable. On the bridge, Kara studied the stars. "They will regret underestimating us," she said softly, "but not because we act with anger or force. They will regret it because they failed to understand patience, intelligence, and preparation. They judged humans by appearances and assumptions, and they were wrong." Talon nodded. "And yet we continue quietly. That is what makes it remarkable." Kara smiled faintly. "Quiet strength is often the most enduring. The Council will realize eventually, But by then, humanity will have moved beyond their influence, guiding the galaxy in a way they could not control or predict. As weeks passed, the humans' network expanded further. Communication hubs connected distant civilizations, scientific research advanced at an unprecedented pace, and hidden colonies began thriving. What had once been isolated planets were now part of a larger system of human-guided development. The Council's attempts to intervene grew desperate. They sent envoys, technical surveys, and observers, all failing to match the human speed, intelligence, and adaptability. Every report returned only confirmed that humans were always one step ahead. The realization sank in across the council. They had misjudged humanity for centuries. In one meeting, Malkesh admitted aloud, their departure was not foolish. It was brilliant. And we are already too late. Thrill flickered in acknowledgement. Every attempt to predict them fails. Every strategy we devise is outdated before we act. Humanity has demonstrated a level of foresight and patience we cannot match. Back in human space, Kara convened her officers. Our work continues. The galaxy is vast, and there is much to explore, to understand, and to connect. Our influence grows not through force, but through preparation, guidance, and the careful use of knowledge. This is the power of humanity. Talon glanced at the display showing multiple systems under human influence. It is remarkable, she said. Quiet but undeniable, Kara nodded. Yes, and one day the Council will see it. Their regret will be instant, but it will not change what we have built. Our departure was not the end of humanity's story. It was the beginning. The fleet moved onward, stars and galaxies stretching endlessly ahead. Each new system became another step in humanity's quiet ascent. Colonies thrived, civilizations grew, and knowledge expanded. Every action, carefully measured and executed, reinforced the idea that humanity's strength was not in aggression, but in intelligence, preparation, and patience. Meanwhile, the Council struggled to keep up. Panic and regret grew as they realized the consequences of underestimating humans. Every prediction they had made failed. Every strategy was insufficient. Humanity had departed quietly, yet in their absence, they had achieved what the Council could not: influence, respect, and a lasting presence in the galaxy. Kara stood on the observation deck, looking at a nebula of gold and violet light. We act without arrogance, she said, without seeking domination, but we act wisely. That is what separates humanity from those who judge by appearances. Talon smiled, a quiet pride in her eyes, and the Council will learn too late the result of their underestimation. Kara nodded. Let them. Our path is forward, and we have prepared for every step. The galaxy is vast, full of opportunity and discovery. Humanity's ascent is quiet, deliberate, and unstoppable, and that is the greatest strength of all. As the fleet moved through the stars, the humans' quiet ascent continued. They were unseen by most, underestimated by many, and misunderstood by all who once considered them minor players. Yet each day their influence expanded, their knowledge deepened, and their presence reshaped the galaxy. The Council's regret would be instant when fully realized, but by then it would no longer matter. Humanity had already moved forward, building a future defined by intelligence, patience, and quiet power. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, each one a world of possibility, and humanity, silent yet unstoppable, continued its journey into the vast, uncharted galaxy. The quiet exit had become the first step of a legacy that no one could predict, control, or undo.